No? All right. So we ended on this slide. Um, Another tenet of the culture responsive teaching is valuing what students can bring to the classroom as assets and uses these assets as resources for teaching and learning. So this particular tenets also align to the meaningful learning theory by David Ausubel. We know that we have to use their our students prior learning or prior knowledge about or as regards our teaching. Kung ano yung ituturo natin ngayon, let's capitalize on what the students already know, okay, and able to do. So, but now touching on their culture so that it will be more meaningful to them, knowing that a certain culture, a certain material culture perhaps is part in their being a person. So this principle acknowledges the students come to school with a wealth of knowledge, skills, and experiences gained from their families, communities, and cultural backgrounds. So depicted on this presentation slide is the Daragang Magayon. Okay? So Daragang Magayon from um, a local legend about Magayon. Ayan, so that's the legend of the Daragang Magayon. So kung makikita nyo, it also still depicts the majestic beauty of the Mayon volcano. So ito talagang nasa taas ay um, original taken, not AI ha, hindi pa uso nito yung artificial intelligence na generated image. The Legend of Daragang Magayon, photo by I just grabbed this on the Facebook post of Fafa Ella Fernandez and artwork by Kirby Rosanes. So you can also visit to see that particular image uploaded. And we have the last one is to adopt a critical stance toward socio-political structures and processes and support students in developing the same, right? So this crucial element of CRE or culture responsive education or culture responsive teaching encourages educators and students to critically examine the power dynamics, social injustices, and systemic inequities within society. So ito yung pinakang kumbaga higher or highest principle na we are trying to develop amongst our learners that they can have that kind of critical stance toward socio-political structures or structure process and that support students in developing the same. So as good example in gender equality, since this month we celebrate Pride Month, and so let's try to touch on that also by um asking their what could be their socio-political stance on gender equality. Oh, kasi and some perhaps might be not very accommodating to this kind of concept about gender and inequality or equality that might be present in one school community. So where are we today in terms of gender equality? So just to share, um, the DepEd Bicol now institutionalizes the gender neutral honorific mix. Yan, so it's actually stated on the memorandum order given by our regional director. This was just last May 26, 2025. So napakabago pa nitong memorandum order na to. That in terms of um, using that um, prenominal title of addressing someone who would want to be called not with Mr. or Miss specifically, would use the pre-nominal title mix. Okay, so pwedeng yun ang address natin. And for us language majors and the DepEd actually promotes gender neutral language in making our proposals or even in doing our lesson plans. Right? So yun. So that could be, and integrating this in the classroom practice, paano natin to magiging part of our, one of the strategies that we may have or activity that we may have in our home classroom. For example, how are you supposed to write a communication letter? Okay. So for the English majors or the language teachers here, may want to ask this are these students to utilize the prenominal title mix as part of their writing process. All right. And moving forward or moving on the leveling of our students learning experiences, how are we going to develop that kind of critical stance towards socio-political structures? So, of course, kung kami sa DepEd, we would always want to align it with the curriculum guide provided to us, okay? Because it's our compass also as to how we deal or we deliver the curriculum, okay? So by referring to the curriculum guide. So for example, in reading and writing, yan. So meron dong writing or even in English for academic and professional purposes, we ask our students to write proposals, okay? To write their own um position paper, okay? So by doing or we're asking them to write those kinds of writing activities or writing outputs, which would also develop that kind of socio-political stance amongst them, whether or not they favor same-sex marriage, for example, okay, or abortion, or other highly debatable topics. And the overlap in the socially responsive education framework, okay, because we have the first one, which is to hold high expectations for all students' academic learning, trust upon students' culture to strengthen and sustain their cultural connections, values what students bring to the classroom as assets and use their assets as resource for teaching and learning, and adopts a critical stance. So those are the terminologies. We have high expectations, cultural connections, assets as a resource, their cultural background as assets and resources, and their critical stance on certain socio-political topics, structures, and processes. And the overlapping area signifies that the culture responsive education or culture responsive teaching is not just about implementing one of these principles, but about integrating all four simultaneously. So kanina we try to how we start from setting high expectations. Of course, it starts from our crafting of our objectives. Of course, we are aware as to how we effectively craft our objectives following um, the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, and the ABCD format of knowing the audience, the behavior, the condition, and the criterion set in our teaching, where we can also build cultural connections. And by achieving that kind of cultural connections, we tap or capitalize on our students cultural resources. Ano bang alam nila? Ano na ba ang meron ano na ba ang prior knowledge nila about certain culture, where the students can capitalize on that. Okay? And adopts a critical stance toward socio-political structures and processes. Yeah. So the overlap signifies that we have to integrate as much as possible all the four tenets or principles in our, if we want to achieve culturally responsive education or culturally responsive teaching practices in our classroom. Again, so according to Ledson Billings, culturally responsive educators foster intellectual, social, emotional, and political growth in students by leveraging cultural resources to impart knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes, effectively educating the whole child. So it has a focus on the whole child, how we um, tap on their cultural background, their differences in terms of gender, ethnicity, um, socioeconomic status, etc. All right. And as for just to share this also, if this is actually on a certain journal article I read, which I also included in the reference list. Um, the 8 competencies for culturally responsive teaching. Okay, so kung nauna present ko a while ago is just the tenets where you can ground your framework on the culturally responsive education. These particular 8 competencies for cultural responsive teaching provide us as to how and what extent uh, our curriculum is addressing cultural responsive teaching. So paano ba natin siya makikita? Paano ba natin malalaman whether or not we are doing cultural responsive teaching? Okay? Which has already been found to be an effective approach to teaching across grade levels and across um, types of learners. So we have number one is to recognize and address bias in the system, draw on students' culture to shape curriculum and instruction. So reflected rin siya doon sa unang framework a while ago. Pero this is more specific now. It focuses on the competencies for the culture responsive teaching. And if you are to use this lens also on your qualitative research, perhaps if you want to conduct, if you are interested to doing culture responsive teaching, you can use this also competencies, 8 competencies for culture responsive teaching as one of your frameworks or perhaps your main framework or theory to use. Um, draw on students' culture to shape curriculum and instruction. So yun, again tap our students' cultural resource and capitalize on what they already know and what they know about their culture. Next is to bring real-world issues in the classroom. So tingnan natin paano ba yung mga nakikita. We can also apply that and integrate in our instruction. What are the real-world issues they face outside the campus? It can be any of the SDGs kasi yung SDGs, they have their own issues being faced. For example, in environment, okay? So perhaps sort of sa amin kasi very flood prone area sa amin. Yung last bagyo, last year, mataas yung tubig hanggang ulo. Okay? Lagpas ulo yung tubig. And so they might bring that kind of real world issue of flooding, landslide perhaps, into the classroom setting. Then we model high expectation for all students as teachers. If we set high expectations for them, we must also model high expectations for our students. We have to promote respect for students' differences. So by acknowledging that our students came from various groups, various cultures. So we try to promote respect for their differences. We can also collaborate with families and the local community. Okay, for for the teachers here in the higher learning or higher education. I know you are very much immersed in extension works, extension services of your departments of your universities or college. That you collaborate with families and local communities. And another approach, perhaps, if you are aware with or familiar with the service learning approach, so you can actually integrate service learning or community extension as part of our or linking in our instruction also. What have been found on a research-based practice, making it into extension works and how it can be adapted in the instruction aspect of our practice. And of course, it will lead to publication should you pursue it. And communicate in linguistically and culturally responsive ways. So dito ako kanina nag-ground because this is my bias. Okay? This is my personal bias. Of course, I'm a language major. And I also capitalize on the culture that we have, specifically on the material culture, on the food. So yun, we can start from, of course, our own strengths. Saan tayo mas may kalakasan to start on. So we communicate in linguistically and cultural responsive ways. So by doing that, we are addressing one competency in cultural responsive teaching. Diba? That if we promote the use of the local language, specifically because the language vitality also of a certain language might be put on risk whenever if that particular language is no longer being used, okay? Or may mga language contact na specifically in English or in Filipino, especially to our new generation. So we can communicate with them in our discussion, in our classroom practice. Pwedeng we invite them to speak using their language also. Okay? But of course, in with proper guidance or directions as to when they can speak the language. Okay? And when they are expected to use the medium of instruction, which is English for English related courses, and I know for sciences, also in mathematics, they use English. But in some respect, teachers might consider translanguaging as a pedagogical resource also, which aligns with particular competency, okay, to communicate linguistically and culturally responsive to our learners. All right. And last one is to reflect on one's cultural lens. Ano ba yung ginagamit nating culture? Okay? Ano ba yung culture natin na paano natin i-marry yung culture na meron yung learners natin at meron tayo? Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, some of us might have been assigned in workstation with a different culture from ours back home. Kasi kung taga sometime in metro ka kunwari and you will be assigned in a um, bit far distance from your local, yan. So, pwedeng iba yung kultura nila in terms of their, even specifically on their linguistic competence or linguistic background, and even their the material cultures present in that particular. So we have to reflect on one's cultural lens. Paano natin sila titingnan? Okay? And papasok dito pa rin yung concept natin ng whether we are um pluralistic. Kumbaga, we are um tolerant to other people's cultures. Ano ba ang kultura nila? Okay? And we don't see our culture as the dominant one. Okay? So what particular lens are you going to use? And siguro as a matter of kasi it is also being promoted in this practice to see our learners as unique individuals with their own backgrounds, but still with their diversity. We promote also inclusivity, okay, by accepting who they are, where they come from, and what cultures they have at home or in a certain locality. So again, you can use siguro if you are interested also in doing research, the one I presented as your benchmark framework. And for this another this can be considered as your framework also as to how you can structure your paper for a qualitative paper or even quantitative depending on your research questions. So yeah, kasi mas okay na kumbaga research based yung approach natin even if we're just merely dealing with a certain practice. So kasi your practice in your classroom can be dahil nga kunwari is your action research, okay? So can you do action research on culture responsive teaching and using this frameworks. All right. So before we have the case study analysis, let me ask first Serge for uh 5 minute or 10 minute health break. Okay lang po ba?
Yes, sir. Sure po.
Proceed with the case study analysis. Okay. So while perhaps we are on a health break for 5 to 10 minutes, perhaps siguro you can we can use the restroom or siguro grab some snacks or coffee. So yeah, we might as well maximize the time as before we have the case study analysis. So just sort of primer or overview. We will be analyzing two um, research on cultural responsive teaching. One in the Philippines, okay, isang study in the Philippines, and another one in the ASEAN context, okay. I did not delve into the Western kasi most of the early presentations were actually adapted from Western publications. So the time is 9:58. So siguro mga let's say 10, mga 10:05 or 10:10. Okay, that's can be back. Pero for the benefit of those who have just visited the restroom, siguro I'll give you the time to read the article on culture responsive curriculum. Yeah, a case study of IP school in the Philippines. Okay, so this is one I consider to be our case study analysis. Okay, kasi more than the practices that we have, kasi I must say that most of you, or should I say all of you, have already been practicing culture responsive teaching. Kumbaga iba-ibang extent lang natin siya napapractice. And some of us do not, are not fully aware that we are unconsciously, okay, applying or utilizing culture responsive teaching already more than culture-based education. Okay? So more than culture-based education. So the term is more than culture-based education. So yung iba siguro sa atin napapractice na lahat, but reflecting on that its tenets, on its competencies, whether or not we have already practiced culture responsive teaching. So doon, mag-reflect tayo doon. Okay? So allow me to have a health break muna po for 5 minutes to 10. Okay lang po ba? Thank you. Pero yung iba sabi ko nga if you are if you would like to read the abstract first, ayan. So I will allow you to read the abstract to maximize the time also for those who opt not to have first their health pick. Thank you so much. Sir Jay, if you have announcements, sure, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So resume our presentation after the health break. Thank you for your indulgence. I also had my some refreshments here. Hello. All right. So let's resume now our next part of our um session this morning, which is the case study analysis, which can be a sort of our reflective practice also to analyze two journal articles on the topic culture responsive teaching. So in the Philippines, there is a very fertile ground for this particular topic because of course it differs and it actually a good resource for us educators how we practice again our culture. Anyways, may I know first if I am audible, Serge? We are to resume now our presentation,
Yes,
our
sir,
session.
they're audible, sir.
Thank you. Uh, Sorry, just to read our one message from teacher Miziel. Yan, sabi niya kanina pala I wasn't able to immediately um view the info messages. Sabi ni Teacher Miziel, this reminds me of our culture in our area. Yan, there would be frequent power interruptions, repair and maintenance of lines din pala. As the classes would be suspended. So kanina yan, to shift to modular learning. Or some students have no internet connection. Some cannot afford mobile data. Yeah, so another, that's really another good consideration of our students' context, ano, or their home culture affected by their perhaps socioeconomic status, diba? Because some of our students really do not afford or cannot afford internet connection and would resort to using prepaid data. Okay? Pero of course, with very poor internet connection or data connection. So that is so we might as well consider that. Thank you, ma'am, Michelle, for sharing your thoughts a while ago. So we come now to the case study analysis on the culture responsive curriculum. It is a case study of IP or indigenous people school in the Philippines. So it is um published by um Mr. Mark Hill Mateo Mercado of Central Luzon State University. So, some of us might also be interested, ano, to doing culture responsive teaching. I also have, but it is I also have research endeavors, but more on the language. Kasi since I am a language major, I we would conduct research on social linguistics. On my end, I um have a research on revitalization or visiting the endangerment of our own native language, which is Rinconada Nabwa. Okay, so it is yet it's an unpublished paper, so it has to be submitted first to the scrutiny of the expert for referred journals. Yeah, so pero initially may linuluto-lutong research which also inform us as to how we can be culture responsive, linguistically responsive in our teaching amongst our learners. All right, so I am presenting now the abstract of the paper, and later on the conclusion or the recommendations. Dun na lang. I just cut it short kasi reading the entire article would not be very accommodating to with the limited time that we have. But you can access the document or the paper in the provided through the provided link here or the complete APA citation of the paper. So let me read to you the abstract. This study explored the practices and delivery of culture responsive curriculum at Pagsanhan Primary School, a learning institution offering indigenous peoples education in Gabal de Nueva Ecija, Philippines. Our research questions identified were: how do teachers design and implement learning activities that are culture responsive? What are the intervening factors that influence planning and delivery of instruction? How teachers assess learners in terms of understanding concepts and integration of indigenous knowledge systems and practices. So it the study has these research questions. We may also be interested, if you want to investigate also how culture responsive teaching or curriculum is implemented in your own station. Kasi, kumbaga meron tayong different kinds of research gaps. And in this case, pwedeng meron kayong uh, varying locality or local research local. So that could be a sort of gap because the findings of this might be, or the even the methodologies, the research questions may also be um, adapted in your own context. Because we have our own respective ways of implementing culture responsive teaching. So results have shown that in designing and implementation of culture responsive learning activities, teachers have anchored content and competencies in the ancestral domain and cultural practices of students. So, natatouch pa rin yung ancestral domain and cultural practices by uh, in doing in implementing culturally responsive curriculum. Teachers' understanding of cultural practices, however, is limited to superficial knowledge. So, this might be a case where, or when teachers are assigned in workstation, not within their culture. Okay, di ba? Because some of us, siguro, good for those who are assigned to teach in the same local where their students are coming from because we share the culture also, di ba? Ano ba yung mga kultura natin, religious practices siguro na meron. So the teachers are aware. However, in some cases, yan, it is limited to superficial knowledge only kasi iba rin yung culture sa case na ito. So as a result, tribal elders are usually asked to teach students about cultural practices. Okay, so this one strategy also being adapted by the teachers here and the teacher participants in this study, that they would tend to invite um, the tribal elders who would serve as resource speakers to teach students about cultural practices. And indigenous language is also highlighted and revitalized in the process of education. So as I've been mentioning, and as of course my bias is on the language, so how we can make efforts on revitalizing our or the local language of the community. So for example, in your own language, kanina you greeted us with good morning, simple kumusta or good morning, and our own local would already reflect how we value and revitalizing our local language in the process of education. And another findings is the lack of written material. Okay, so yun another factor yun because most of our local languages or native languages do not have its orthography, which poses another level of challenge amongst us educators and language enthusiasts, how to revitalize or preserve the language. So the lack of material is a hindrance for teachers to preserve and effectively transmit the language. So as one of course, language is a very has a vital role in transmitting the culture, in facilitating instruction, and of course in our classroom delivery. 'Di ba? Naka-base sa atin how we can use the linguistic resource of our learners to also make sense of the content that we are presenting them. So the conclusion of the study, ayan, so para makita lang natin what are the practices, what were concluded by the author, and so we can also reflect on those findings and conclusion whether or not they are also adapted or adaptable in our own um, local research in our own context. Ano? So it's concluded that in designing and implementing learning activities that are culture responsive, teachers anchor the content and competencies on ancestral domain and cultural practices of students, but teachers understanding cultural practices is limited to superficial knowledge. And two, indigenous language is emphasized and revitalized in the instructional process. Uh, Seemingly, the use of translanguaging, another broader concept of using the native language or first language and being using it as a pedagogical resource also. Kumbaga, we tap also the native language in using translanguaging more than code switching. Kumbaga, if we're to compare code switching and translanguaging, mas broader ang scope ng translanguaging. So, however, lack of written material serves as hindrance for teachers to preserve and effectively transfer the language. Teachers integrated the Indigenous Learning System, ILS, of the tribe in the schedule of school to teach indigenous knowledge system and practices, IKSP. However, integration of IKSPs and ILS is unstructured. So wala pang structure kung paano ba siya i-implement based on the findings sa context nitong study. And of course, if you would do similar study, might yield possible potential similar result or different result, okay, based on your own context. And number four, community-based assessment tools are used in assessing learners' understanding of concepts and integration of IKSPs. So that's the first case study analysis. All right. So sino kaya sa atin dito ang napupusuan ng i-embrace ang culture responsive teaching and making it research-based still, okay? Research-based pa rin tayo. How you implement the culture responsive teaching, then you document it as a sort of action-based research, or if you want it to have pure qualitative research. All right, so and as for the recommendations, so tingnan natin, ano ba yung mga recommendations in doing the cultural responsive teaching. So based on the results, the researcher recommend the following: document all cultural practices and indigenous languages of the Kabulo and tribe through an in-depth ethnographic research, conduct comparative analysis of pedagogical practices among different IP school hitting different tribes. So yung una pa lang na dalawang recommendations already provide us research ground or fertile ground for research saan tayo pwedeng pumasok. Okay? If you want to be, want to pursue study or research on this area. Review and remap the IKSPs and ILS in the curriculum guides using the learning context on tribes' ancestral domain. And D, develop modules for teachers and students on how properly integrate IKSPs and ILS in the K-12 curriculum. So, meron maraming area ang pinakita dito. Ano? So, even the crafting of modules to preserve the IKSPs, or even to document our own culture, our own practices, and our own ways of doing um, cultural responsive teaching may also be conducted. The school level implementation of Indigenous peoples education reflects the impact of national government's efforts in addressing the needs of indigenous people, indigenous Philippine learners, and appropriate implementation of culturally responsive curriculum will definitely support the preservation of IKSPs and uphold ILS in the community. The development of indigenized curriculum relevant to the local context will enhance the quality of education delivered to the indigenous Philippine learners, increasing their survivability in the outside community. So, yun ang isang case study which presents us very rich reflection of ano ba ang in our own context, ano ba ang na-touch doon na mga findings and in the recommendations and implications what we can do in our own context. Alright, so I presented itong una is in the Philippine context, how cultural responsive teaching is implemented. And on the second journal article titled The Importance of Implementing Cultural Responsive Teaching on ASEAN Countries by Trisnawati Alcautusar, Hamdia, and Diwi of the University Kebangsaan, Malaysia. So, tinignan ko kasi for us to see whether or not culture responsive is really a serious thing educators are seeing. So, di ba? It is worth researching this particular practice. And so, as educators, we can also have the same interest in adapt some practices and investigate how we implement this practice in our own station. So let me read to you the abstract. A class with various need and kind of students has been widely issued among teachers, especially in ASEAN countries. Several studies had been conducted to encounter the best solution to handle these issues. Therefore, this article was conducted as an effort to find a solution regarding this issue. The study focuses on culture responsive teaching in ASEAN countries through examining the previous studies regarding culture responsive teaching by using Prisma protocols to collect articles that relevant to this study. The result found that based on 10 articles, CRT has found two key points on this matter. Those are misconception of CRT and CRT as the bridge between teacher and student to overcome high power distance. So this particular article delve into 10 articles, another research articles investigated on how um, culture responsive teaching is implemented. So the teacher does not only apply CRT method as inclusive classroom based on the conclusion. It is a strategy to encourage the students to study together, but also teacher has a positive attitude toward the students in the classroom. Furthermore, CRT is not only about how the teachers interact with the multicultural students, but also about how teachers are trained to teach the students to respect the diversity in the classroom, such as talking in gesture, decrease the high power distance between the teachers and students, conduct more group discussion to maximize the interaction between students rather than homogeneous interaction. In this case, CRT has a role to encourage both teacher and students to learn more and possess high tolerance towards heterogeneity in the classroom. Thus, CRT brought the positive effects to both teachers and students. So it is already found on this research that indeed CRP has positive effects to both teachers and students. All right. So siguro at this time you have already captured the essence of of cultural responsive teaching, addressing the multicultural and multilingual backgrounds of our learners. All right. So kanina we presented this by reacting or pressing the buttons on reaction responses in our platform. So this particular CRPCSP assessment tool may be of great help to us to reflect on our own practices guided by this tool. Okay? Um, and you might as well be interested also, sabi ko nga, to conduct a simple survey. Okay? Survey research, descriptive research, and for a qualitative research in this respect to know the reflection of the teachers, how they can level up their behavior or their attitude towards culture responsive teaching. All right, so ito yung pinakita ko kaninang tool, which I just mentioned included in the reference list, where you can make use of this if you find it very interesting also. Kasi yung culture responsive teaching, of course, it is unique in our own ways sa ating culture, sa ating local. So that's how fertile this particular area is for us in the lens of the our side as being teacher researchers in the classroom. So we have based on the assessment tool, I'll just have a walkthrough of the assessment tool and how it can be utilized. And of course, tayo mismong teachers can reflect on this. And if you are using the lens also of a researcher, you might as well use this as your tool as to how you can gather data um, to leverage also their use of culture relevant pedagogy or culture responsive teaching. So what this idea to develop action steps from culture relevant pedagogy teacher assessment tool. So dito siya naka-anchor. For example, if you rate yourself in the need help area in the Likert scale, use students' culture to help them create meaning for content and learning. So for example, um, you rate yourself to be needing help on this area. So dun ka sa 2. So you have to reflect and ask yourself, what do you think you need to move up one level on the rating scale? Okay? So kumbaga, what could be your strategies? Okay? You would apply in your own practice to elevate that level to the next stage. Pwedeng additional one or two ladder para um, masabi natin that we are moving forward and embracing the culture responsive pedagogy or culturally sustaining pedagogy. So here, what do you believe you need to do to move one or two rating on the culture relevant pedagogy teacher self assessment tool? So you can have it on your own to write on your reflection. Kasi kanina naka-ano lang tayo, naka virtual. You just stop your by clicking your emojis there representing your rating to yourself. Then write down at least two action steps that you can take to move each of the items that were rated at 1 or 2. So paano natin siya mas may improve yung practices natin. So it's more in a reflective practice, being aware of what we are doing inside the classroom. So tingnan natin ano bang strategies pa na pwedeng ma-adapt based on the presented journal articles. Kung may na-mention doon na possible adaptable practice in our own context. In writing down your action steps, determine if your steps require professional development support or if they require you to take a chance. Okay, mag-try tayo. Okay? Or if professional development support, so this could be one, yeah. Tending to webinars or tending to seminar for continuing professional development. It could be good. And professional development support suggests that you need to help in their are ideas you are seeking together. Taking a chance suggests that you have the skills, but you need the will to move. Okay. Then consider what it takes to be bold in your practice and how these action steps might add to your professional identity. And taking a chance, write out your ideas for your step and share them with your supervisor or teacher colleagues. Okay. And sharing, choose an audience of professional peers who believe in your CRP, CSP vision, the wrong audience. Okay. So siguro meron na kayong natap na yung ano nyo, prior knowledge also and your awareness on your own practice and yung levels nyo kanina. Okay. And any of the 12 indicators provided. So paano kaya natin? So you can type in the in-call messages um, ano kaya ang possible nating gawin or strategies nyo on your own context to level up your own classroom practice. Okay? Paano kaya mas ma-level up natin yung ating culture responsive teaching practice in our own context? So those possible reflections that you have, ayan, uh, so that I can share another slide. So ito, this is actually an output in my PhD class, okay? And I myself wrote it, but it is written in English. Pero meron akong translation nito into Bicol Rinconada language, okay? Kasi yung subject namin na isa is it's social linguistics and evaluation, preparation of instructional materials for language and literacy development. So this a particular story I wrote uh, touches um, diversity in specifically targeting gender equality. Ayan, so the title is Jimboy and the Rainbow, which I have written under the supervision of our professor, Dr. Jolie Lucille Del Valle Lopez, at the Ateneo de Naga University. And um, you might as well be interested of crafting your own material that would address a certain um, factor or another uniqueness of our learners concerning their context. Okay? So dito, since my target is really on gender equality, pero yung material culture is touched by using some dish or laro na linalaro ng mga bata dito. For example, ngaya in a more general setting in the Philippines, siyempre we are familiar with luksong tinik. Okay? So you can touch on that luksong tinik as part of the story or as part of the food that they eat para maalam ng sadya, yun, nagkakakanman pala or nagkumakain rin pala si Jimboy ng, for example, sa amin in our term is pinangat. So pwedeng, si Jimboy pala kumakain rin ng pinangat or minatamis na pili or nagtry siya ng chili ice cream. Okay? And that inclusion of some culture, cuisine, this part of the culture in the local might give that kind of empowerment and sense of belongingness amongst our learners. Okay? So this time, I would love to hear your reflection and sharing for the topic before we end. The time is 10:39. We're just in time before we end our discussion. So you can use in-call messages or even voice call. Okay naman, mas interactive tayo. I tried to deliver first my materials kasi there might be power interruptions and I might not finish it. So I opted to finish first delivering the material first, then accommodate some reflection, sharing, kasi we are all professionals here with varying cultures that we have in our own local. So sino po ang gustong mag-share? How far have you been doing culture responsive teaching? And ano yung mga na-mention na powerful sa inyo? Kumbaga, you deeply resonate or reflect, align with those practices. Anyone po, I appreciate your participation. May additional certificate daw from Apothem. So may I hear siguro one or two participants, one from DepEd and one from SUC, one from private institution perhaps, and other agency or institutions. Anyone po who would like to share? Ano na yung mga ginagawa nyo so that other participants might also reflect, ayo, ginagawa ko rin siya and sort of validation. Okay, based on or aside from what I have mentioned a while ago as my own practice or even on the reflecting on the journal articles provided, ano na yung na-mention doon na ginagawa nyo rin? May I know from the participants? Who would like to share? Just unmute your mic po and you can own the virtual floor. We're on the reflection and sharing part of the session. Anyone?
Sir Francis, we have insight from Sir Ryan.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yes. Yes, sorry.
box.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Jet. Yeah, so we have Sir Ryan Aragon. Thank you, Sir Ryan, for for your generosity to share your insight. So may I read to you? Personally, we can enhance or strengthen CRT in our instruction by the following. Number one, through lakbay aral and cultural immersions to understand various cultural contexts. See, that's a very good practice, sir. The lakbay aral, if your institution is already established or has already established this kind of practice, it's very good. Two, integrate local history or studies in the lessons. Yeah, another good point. Yeah. Three is to serve service learning programs to get in touch and understand better the communities. Yeah, so I also mentioned a while ago about service learning, which also an emerging approach, okay, emerging pedagogy in the higher education sector, but not more so in the depth ed. We do not have service learning or but we have extension works or we have anong tawag sa amin yan? Community involvement or extension. Meron rin community extension. But more on the service learning kasi, it really is aligned with the curriculum. So it has to be articulated in the curriculum. If your purpose is to do service learning, hindi lang siya pwedeng gusto mo lang mag-feeding program, gusto mo lang pag mag-donate ng books, etc., etc., etc. So it has to be anchored on the curriculum or kung sa college, anchored on your syllabus. So dapat reflected already siya sa syllabus yung service learning pedagogy to make it considered service learning. Hindi lang siya um, outreach program kasi magkaiba yon. Four, differentiated strategies that tap students' unique cultural potentials and talents. Yeah, that's really a good practice, sir. Thank you for sharing. As we create our assessment tool, our instruction, we try to address it to the learners or to address the learners' context. Okay? And syempre, familiar na tayo sa differentiated instruction and assessment. You also have your trainings on that or even courses that discussed that concept of differentiating instruction. And in addition, according to Sir Ryan Aragon, creating and designing performance tasks that are authentic and problem based. So that's it also touches on the principle of and competency of culture responsive teaching that we bring the real world issues inside our classroom and what could be being faced in the community. So I mentioned a while ago the flooding. Okay, kasi yung area namin is medyo very ano siya, prone to flooding. So you might as well tap that resource, or to make it as a problem based and make it more authentic to our learners. So thank you so much, Sir Ryan Aragon, um, for sharing very good points as to how we can embrace and enhance our practices in doing culture responsive teaching. Okay? So who else po would like to add? I sir may I give the virtual floor to Sir Ryan Aragon. Thank you so much, Sir Ryan, for sharing, and please have the virtual floor po.
Good morning, sir, and to the rest of the participants. Can I be heard? Po? Good morning po. Can I be heard, or is my voice clear?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear, sir. Proceed
Thank
po.
you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Um, I included in my sharing the service learning programs to get in touch and understand better the communities. And as far as I remember, sir, you also expounded this by saying that it should be integrated in our school curriculum. So I'm going to share a little bit of that. So in our school, in Ateneo de Davao Junior High School, a learning program is already integrated in our curriculum, uh, even in the designing of our curriculum guide and learning plan, because uh, we would like to be more sensitive and active in promoting development in our communities. So, in this kind of endeavor, uh, service learning programs such as the Tulong Dunong program and the CSLP programs that are embedded in our curriculum, we started designing such programs at the very start of the quarter, wherein we try to identify which competencies from DepEd and our excellence standards in the Ateneo de Davao University can help us uh, target um, and achieve service learning programs. So our students, grade 10, are doing the Tulong Dunong program, and grade 7 to 9, the CSLP, or the Christian Service Learning programs. It's the actualization of the competencies that the students have learned in the quarter. So they're going to actualize it by going to the community and doing service learning through tutorial or environmental activities and endeavors or social outreach programs. So by doing so, our students get in touch with the realities of life. But in the planning part, what we really identify, we we identified the competencies and the standards, combining from DepEd and the Ateneo standards. The Ateneo standards in the Davao City, we got it from our vision, mission, and goals. And luckily, we already have these strategic indicators that we can use to marry our very own Ateneo's excellence standards to DepEd minimum standards, so that uh, it is both meaningful and relevant. So, based on the uh, evaluation conducted by the school about the effectiveness of the service learning programs, most of our students responded yes, that they are really effective, and also in in making them more responsive citizens of their country. So, to your question, sir, yes, it is really integrated in our curriculum, since we are considering this. It's also part of our vision, mission, and goal in the Ateneo de Davao University. So, yun po, sir.
Alright. So thank you so much po, Sir Ryan Aragon from Ateneo de Davao University. So yeah, so as I mentioned by Sir, evident na yung service learning activities nila but grounded on culture responsive teaching and doing the real world or addressing the real world challenges in the community and still aligning it to the competencies or standards of the Ateneo de Davao University and the DepEd standards. So that's a very good practice, sir. But may I know, sir, if have you ever conducted or your institution perhaps has initiated research on service learning po on that respect, Sir Ryan?
Yes, sir. Yes, there were already research studies conducted in our school, but not in the junior high school or the basic unit that we had. It's in our college level. Actually, I attended para a research colloquy of all the Ateneo schools in the Philippines on the on the service learning program conducted by the participating Ateneo schools in the country, and I remembered that one researcher in our college presented a study on service learning program in both in our college and the basic education units. But as for the junior high school, I believe uh, it could be the next step to really validate the 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 success and impact of our service learning program as a tool to strengthen culturally responsive teaching. Yun po.
All right. Thank you so much po, Sir Ryan. So very 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 evident na ang cultural responsive teaching in your own context and of course integrating the service learning activity or approach of the Ateneo de Davao University. And yeah, the same thing Sir Ryan because I'm doing my PhD in the Ateneo de Naga University where I actually learned more about SLA and doing cultural responsive teaching. So yeah, we share the same vision as of having that kind of impact to the lives of our learners and to the community where our learners belong. So thank you so much po, Sir Ryan, for sharing your very rich information and experiences on implementing cultural responsive teaching through SLA. So may I also read some comments in our in-call message. So according to Sir Joshua Adra, with the context of cultural responsive teaching, it enables us teachers to validate students' diverse culture, fosters inclusivity, and more importantly, it enhances engagement in learning of our learners with diverse backgrounds. That's very true, Sir Joshua. That through culture responsive teaching, we enhance, we elevate that kind of engagement and learning amongst our learners coming from multi pluralistically or multicultural and multilingual community. According to Ma'am Maria Kazel Serrano, in our school, sir, sabi niya, very evident po ang variation through socioeconomic status of our learners. As you mentioned earlier, if we use CRT, we need to connect across cultures by understanding the socioeconomic background of our learners. So, our coordinator po in our school has this project every December po as part of our Bigayan. We would invite every student, especially the struggling not in the learning but also financially din po. Every year na din po yun. And aside from that, we also encouraged students to grow or bloom, especially some other students nowadays are LGBTQ, but with some limitations po. So that's a very nice practice po, Ma'am Maria Quezal Serrano, on your context. Ano? Kasi sabi ko nga, we adopt culture responsive teaching in our context and it is indeed very unique on our context kasi iba-iba ang culture natin and iba-iba yung learners that we are teaching we are dealing every day in our classroom. So, pero yung ano lang siguro nito, ma'am, would be how you document your practices. If it has, that kind of proposal, hindi lang siya yung gagawing activity. So it has to be well documented, and if it can be in a form of research-based approach para mas malaman nyo what is the impact or even the experiences of the learners, whether or not CRT is somehow responding positively to or impacting positively our learners. So thank you so much po again, Ma'am Bigayan, and thank you so much po again, Sir Ryan Aragon, for your sharing. So uh, if my questions pa po or additional information you want to add based on our discussion, because the time is 10:56 already. So we might as well accommodate or entertain questions or sharings from our participants na hindi pa po nakapag share ng kanilang thoughts about CRT and their own local perspectives. So anyone po? So if none, I would now I would now give the virtual floor to our moderator. Again, this has been Sir Francis Bundillas from the Nabo National High School and Ateneo de Naga University. Thank you so much po again to all of you for attending the second day session of our national webinar. Thank you so much and mabuhay po. Kita gabos, Diyos maray na ugto na po sa to gabos. So thank you so much po once again, and Sir Jet, the floor is yours po. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Francis. Today is truly nostalgic for me to have heard your voice again as lecturer in our webinar. And it seems like it was only yesterday when you were our teacher back in college. So thank you so much for a comprehensible discussion on culturally responsive teaching. Having diverse learning environment across different culture really makes a difference in our teaching, which serves as a call for us to respond on these trends in education. And I think by that, ladies and gentlemen, our dear participants, he truly deserves a resounding virtual clap. Let us give him a virtual clap.
I think Sir Ryan, sorry Sir Jet, is raising his hand, sir. Do you have any concern po? Additional input or clarification you want to make po? Thank you.
No po, sir. I just forgot to lower the hands down icon po. Sorry.
Okay. So thank you so much po once again, Sir Ryan. Sir Jet, thank you.
All right, so at this time, we now recognize our resource speakers and valuable insights with a presentation of the Certificate of Appreciation.
Let me just unshare, Sir Jet.
And now let me read the citation for the certificate. Apitham Learning Center, Professional Development for Teachers. Certificate of Recognition. This is to certify that Francis A. Bandillas, LPTMA, served as a resource speaker in the national webinar on innovative teaching with the theme Empowering Educators for a Transformative Learning Experience, held via Zoom on June 7 to 8, 2025. This program has been approved by the Council for Professional Teachers of the Professional Regulation Commission, PRC, accredited number PTR-2025-735-8677, awarded 6 CPD units and includes 12 training hours credited toward continuous professional development. Signed, the Executive Director of Octatham Learning Center, Sir J.R.H. Linidas. Once again, let us give a resounding applause to our last resource person for the national webinar on innovative teaching, Sir Francis A. Bandelias. So, all right, thank you so much once again, Sir Francis. So, I think this time you also get the opportunity to have photo op with Sir Francis. So, before we end our session for this morning, may I request everyone to please open your camera for the photo op to be taken by our technical team.
Sir J,
Sir J,
magbilang
magbilang ka kanya.
All right, so in the count of three, everyone smile. 1, 2, 3. Isa pa po. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
We need for your assistance or assistance. Pag ko nakagusto sa pelikula.
So before we end our session, may I request everyone to please accomplish all the needed forms. Please have them in the chat box or in the chat box. Please access the links for the necessary forms that you needed to accomplish, especially the attendance. And of course, please do accomplish the PRC requirements for the provision of the CPD units. So that's all. Again, may I remind once again the most important thing, the attendance. And of course, do not forget to evaluate our speaker. The link is already provided in the chat box. And of course, we also provided link for the evaluation of the entirety of the webinar. And of course, the webinar organizer. And of course, you also access the link in the chat box for the summative assessment. By the way, to all our participants, the certificates will be emailed to you 2 days after our webinar. So just wait for the next 2 days for your certificates to be emailed in your personal email accounts.
Again, Serge, and to all the organizers of the this webinar, I extend my deepest appreciation and thanks, especially to its director, Sir J.R. Leonidas, and to all of you, my dear colleagues in the academe. Salamat po sa pag-attend. And thank you so much po for your indulgence. Thank you so much po. And please allow me now to leave the virtual floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much po, Sir Francis. All right, so may I request our dear participants to copy the links in the chat box so that you can save them for later if you were not able to accomplish it yet. So please do copy the links in the chat box so that you can save it for later. You can accomplish it as we end our session this morning. And a reminder also that the summative assessment is required or prerequisite for your certificate and for your attendance in this webinar. Thank you. So, on behalf of the Aphotham Learning Center, we thank you all for your active engagement, passion, and commitment to lifelong learning. Let us continue to lead, teach, and inspire. Maraming salamat and see you at our next event. Let's transform our classrooms not just into spaces for instruction, but into hubs of innovation, where curiosity thrives, creativity flows, and learning becomes an experience. Let's embrace new ideas, challenge old ways, and empower our learners for the world ahead. Because when we innovate, we don't just teach, we inspire transformation. Thank you so much once again. This has been Sir Jerome, your webinar moderator. Thank you, everyone, and God bless.